Welcome back for another video. Today's content will focus on the Mongols MC, alternatively referred to as the Mongols Motorcycle Club, and their connections to the barrio. Originating in California, the Mongols are an outlaw motorcycle gang identified by their black and white colors. Their emblem consists of a depiction of a Mongol warrior reminiscent of Genghis Khan riding a Harley-Davidson motorcycle at its center. While the top rocker bears the name Mongols, it was the bottom rocker that initially sparked conflict for the gang. Featuring a California designation, this detail proved highly contentious with the Hells Angels outlaw motorcycle gang, who asserted exclusive rights over California territories. Consequently, conflict ensued between the two groups. Despite being outnumbered from the outset, the Mongols forged alliances with adversaries of the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels, aspiring to establish national dominance and control over all other outlaw motorcycle gangs (OMGs), encountered resistance. Those OMGs opposed to this hegemony formed loose coalitions. Notably, the Outlaws Motorcycle Gang and the Vagos Motorcycle Gang joined forces in California, expanding their resistance to the southwestern United States. These outlaw factions are not typically inclined towards adherence to alliances and agreements. Dealing with such entities entails navigating deceit and unfair tactics. In the early 1970s, the Mongols had already entered into such dealings. Unlike the racially exclusive policies of the Hells Angels, who barred African Americans and often exhibited disdain towards Asians and Mexican Americans, the Mongols demonstrated greater tolerance by accepting Hispanic and other members of color into their ranks. Ernest Rabid Salas served as an officer within the San Gabriel chapter of the Mongols, while his brother Robert Rabid Salas held a prominent position within the Mexican Mafia prison gang. These Mexican Mongols earned their stripes through conflicts with the Hells Angels and participation in biker runs. As the Mongols sought to bolster their ranks for the ongoing struggle against the Big Red Machine, they began integrating more Hispanic individuals into the club. By the 1990s, recruitment efforts extended to former street gang members from both Northern and Southern California, although many lacked motorcycle ownership or riding experience. The Mongol constitution traditionally mandated Harley-Davidson ownership as a prerequisite for membership, but faced with the demands of their ongoing conflict with the Hells Angels, the club relaxed these standards and enlisted numerous veterans from lowrider Cholo street gangs. Some of these individuals from East LA even joined the Mongols Special Enforcer Squad, proudly displaying a black and white LA Enforcer patch on their vests. However, many of these recruits had prior affiliations with Southern California Hispanic street gangs and had sworn allegiance to the Mexican Mafia prison gang, necessitating a blood-in, blood-out commitment. In January 2004, a contingent of Mongols convened with members of the Bastille Grande street gang at a motel in Acadia, located northeast of Los Angeles. The purpose of the meeting was for the Mongols to purchase methamphetamine in bulk for subsequent retail distribution. Following the transaction, the Bastille gang extended an invitation to the Mongols to join them for festivities in the same motel room where the deal transpired. Initially, the 5 to 6 Mongols, who were primarily providing security for the transaction, accompanied the drugs and the buyer to a nearby Mongol safe house. However, 4 of them eventually returned to join the Bastille gang celebration. Among the Mongol security detail was a former member of LA's prominent street gang, 18th Street. However, the Bastille gang members quickly identified this individual as a former Sureño, who was listed on the Mexican Mafia's A Green Light roster. His inclusion on this hit list stemmed from violations of the Sureño Code of Conduct. This Green Light list circulates widely throughout Southern California, particularly in county jails and state prisons, and is committed to memory by those within the criminal network. The Sureños, under the directives of the Mexican Mafia, were tasked with eliminating anyone listed on the Green Light roster. When confronted by members of the Bastille gang, the Mongol individual retreated to the bathroom, emerging visibly armed with a pistol tucked into his waistband. Expected to uphold the Mongols' reputation and confront the gang members, he opted to remain at the party, relying on his fellow Mongols for support. As tensions escalated, the Bastille gang members launched a coordinated assault. In the ensuing struggle, the Mongol affiliated with 18th Street was fatally wounded, while another Mongol who chose to fight suffered severe injuries. 2 additional Mongols fled the scene. Subsequently, the Mongols convened a tribunal to address the actions of those who fled, ultimately administering punishment for perceived cowardice. On January 10, 2004, in Rosemead, situated in the San Gabriel Valley, members of the Sangra Sureño gang established a methamphetamine laboratory within a motel room and commenced their illicit operations. During the same week, a Mongol motorcycle run was underway and several Mongol riders had checked into the same motel. A Mongol hailing from the San Jose area, associated with the Norteño faction, happened upon the room housing the open meth lab and began inquiring about its operations. Subsequently, a series of confrontations unfolded between the Mongol Norteños and members of the Sangre Sureño gang. As the Sangre gang members became aware of the presence of Los Angeles deputy sheriff's patrol units nearby, they swiftly dismantled the meth lab and commenced loading the drugs and equipment into vehicles. Despite warnings from the Sangre gang, the Mongol persisted in confronting them in the parking lot, asserting his affiliation not only with the Mongols but also with the Norteños. Tragically, the Sangre gang members fatally shot him. Responding deputies managed to apprehend one fleeing suspect and seized a significant portion of the methamphetamine and equipment. In March 2004, the Mexican Mafia shot callers convened meetings with local Sureño gangs and conveyed their sense of disrespect from the Mongols. They claimed the Sureños suffered over $20,000 in damages, including lost drug revenue and personal harm. The Mafia warned the Mongols that failure to compensate would result in their classification as just another LA street gang. They demanded restitution for the losses and cautioned that refusal would lead to the inclusion of the Mongols on the green light list, making all members targets for Sureño retribution both inside and outside of custody. Come April 2004, the Mongols publicly declared their refusal to pay extortion to the Mexican Mafia. They even issued their own threats. A biker pulled up alongside a Mexican Mafia representative's car stopped at a traffic light, where the driver was accompanied by family members. Leaning in, the biker ominously highlighted how vulnerable they were to harm. Subsequently, numerous Mongol members renounced their allegiance and relinquished their membership. The green light was now activated against the Mongols, with every Sureño ordered to eliminate them on sight. These events garnered significant media attention, particularly through the reporting of Chris Blatchford, a respected journalist with Los Angeles Fox 11 News. Blatchford's coverage included an interview with an unidentified Mongol shot caller, conducted in silhouette on the Fox Undercover News program. Following this segment, a representative from the Mexican Mafia contacted Blatchford and requested a meeting to address the situation between the two parties.
This meeting was eventually made and a full-scale war was averted. The Eames Rice rocket hitman was later apprehended and identified, but concerns arose within the Mexican Mafia that he might cooperate with law enforcement. Consequently, he was also marked for elimination by the Eames. In an attempt to carry out the sentence, Sureño inmates orchestrated a riot in the LA County Jail exercise yard, intending to assassinate him amidst the chaos. Deputy Javier Clift and several colleagues intervened to shield the target from the Sureño assailants, resulting in the green-lighted individual sustaining injuries but surviving the attack. Tensions between the Mongols and the Mexican Mafia, along with their army of Sureños, have remained highly volatile. Allegedly, the Mafia made a chilling request to the Mongols: eliminate Doc, the current Mongol president, and all past transgressions would be forgiven. Doc's leadership had already faced considerable dissent within the Mongols due to his significant recruitment of Sureño gang members into the club and his perceived failure to safeguard former President Roger Penne during the notorious Laughlin, Nevada Harrah's casino shootout with the Hells Angels in 2002. Born in the Highland Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, Ruben Cavazos experienced a troubled youth, joining the Avenues gang and frequently encountering legal trouble due to his propensity for violence. Despite these challenges, he eventually pursued a career in medicine and became a licensed radiologist, specializing in conducting X-rays at hospitals across the Los Angeles area. Despite having a career and a family, Ruben Cavazos didn't sever his ties with his gang affiliation. Rather, he deepened them. While openly acknowledging his Sureño background, Cavazos actively pursued membership in the Mongols, an outlaw motorcycle gang rooted in East Los Angeles. Contrary to merely embracing his Mongols membership, Cavazos harbored ambitions of assuming the club's presidency almost from the moment he donned their black and white patch. Known within the club by his nickname Doc, earned through his radiology profession, Cavazos was recognized for challenging both the existing Mongols leadership and the club's fundamental principles. He employed various tactics, including behind-the-scenes maneuvering and overt criticism, to assert his vision for the club's direction. However, Cavazos's aspirations were cut short on October 21, 2008, when federal authorities conducted a sweep known as Operation Black Rain, resulting in the arrest of 38 Mongols members, including Cavazos, who was apprehended at his West Covina residence. Cavazos eventually pleaded guilty to racketeering charges and received a sentence of more than 20 years in federal prison. Following Cavazos's downfall, the Mongols reportedly reached an agreement with La Im, the Mexican Mafia, to prevent retaliation against the club for Cavazos's perceived disrespect towards them. From rising through the ranks of the avenues to assuming the presidency of the Mongols and ultimately landing in federal prison, Cavazos, the man who sought to bridge the cultures of the Mongols and Surenos, now faces the looming threat of retribution from La Im for the perceived slights he directed towards them.